So how did you guys like Saturday night's main event? What'd you think? Did it impress you? Was it everything you hoped it would be? Well, for me, right off the top, I just want to say it was a wrestling show with no extras. And maybe it's time. Maybe it's time as fans, including myself as a genre, podcasters, should start reducing our expectations of Saturday night's main event. Because how many times have we said this could happen, that could happen, this and that, this potential turn, these returns, and we end up getting just a straight wrestling show. I don't know why I'm surprised at this point. Saturday night main event has, since its return, pretty much been that. And since WWE moved their PLEs over to ESPN, that also probably incentivizes them to have those big moments, those big returns, those big heel turns or babyface turns happen on ESPN's platform now. So maybe from now on, I'm looking at Saturday Night Main Event and I'm saying, hey, this is a wrestling show about wrestling with the very rare occasional big moment. And we have that coming, though, at the next Saturday Night Main Event on December 13th in Washington, D.C. If you mortgaged your second house and you're able to attend the event, well, first of all, Godspeed. I hope you enjoy your event, and it's a memorable one because we are going to see John Cena take on somebody out of a 16-man tournament. We'll talk more about that as it was introduced at Saturday Night Main Event. We'll talk more about that in just a few. But first, welcome to the show. Welcome to the WWE podcast. This is Sunday, November 2nd, 2025. And we are here to talk Saturday Night Main Event, but you're also going to hear from the listeners, some of the listeners of the show who wrote in and we weren't able to get to the mailbag. Or actually, my email went down and some of the letters, quote unquote, that came in were bounced back because my email went down for a little bit, but it came back. And again, we'll read those emails and respond in just a couple. And I also want to give a shout out because we had somebody join us, a couple people join us over at Patreon during the build to Saturday Night Main Event. And I want to give them a shout out. Jim Wetzel and Wayne Reinhardt. Thank you. As well as, oh my goodness, Fam Lambao Tone. That is, I'm just going to call you Fam because the rest of it, forget. I can't even pronounce regular names the right way. Right. So, Fam and Wayne and Jim, thank you guys for your patronage. And if you want to join them and get everything ad free, patreon.com/WWE podcast is the way to go. Now, let's dive into it. We'll start right where WWE started with, and that is Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. Now, the title can change hands here on a disqualification or a countout. This match went a total of 18 minutes and 45 seconds. About what you thought it would go, nearly, around that 20-minute range. And we had a really good match here. I thought it was a good match. I know a lot of people didn't enjoy some of the pacing of the match, that it bored some people. And I will say the Salt Lake City crowd was not exactly hot. And I'm not comparing them to the UK and overseas crowds. Just in terms of the typical United States crowd, Salt Lake City was not a very vocal crowd. Now, they weren't asleep, but if there wasn't a big moment happening or a big star out there, they were pretty subdued. I mean, that's what I thought anyway. But I'm sure everyone overseas is just so befuddled. If you're from Lyon, France, or you're from Scotland, or you're from Dominican Republic, or wherever the WWE's recently held a PLE, you're thinking to yourself, my God, these people don't do anything during the events. They don't do anything. Well, no, we do. The problem is, and I don't know, I don't want to go into a big psychoanalyst breakdown as to why the WWE fans in the United States react differently than those in the UK or anywhere else overseas. But I will just say, being a United States fan, when I attend these events, we seemingly only want to react to things that are big in the ring. I mean, we react to what is going on. And if something is not particularly exciting, then we'll just be quiet. And if something exciting happens, we react. Instead of just the constant base level of noise, we don't do that. It's just the way that we are. Anyway, so let's move on. This match here, again, fun match. I enjoyed this, even though most of us knew that probably there was almost no chance of Drew winning. But Drew does lose here, but he loses in a way that you could argue is heelish by Cody and also opens the door for Drew to get another opportunity at the championship because, as we all saw, Drew attempted to use the belt, but Cody then DDT'd Drew on the championship and gets the 1, 2, 3. Of course, he hits the crossroads 1, 2, 3. Number one, I'm glad that there wasn't a multitude of kickouts of the crossroads at the end. That's a positive. But this was certainly evidence, if you're looking for it, for a slow burn to a eventual explosion of Cody turning heel, you could add this to your to the resume or to your evidence locker, because Cody Rhodes using the championship, albeit Cole trying to cover for Cody, saying that Drew brought the championship to begin with, which is true, but Cody still opted to use it. And you could hear Drew talking about how he was screwed, and once again he's robbed of what's owed to him, what's due to him, and in a lot of ways he's correct. The fact Drew hasn't actually had a real run with the championship is kind of insane. And certainly if they want to run this back at Survivor Series between Cody and Drew, they certainly could. And you know what kind of quality match you're going to get. But more importantly, even than the quality of the match, is, of course, Drew just certainly being deserving. He deserves this run. Cody doesn't need it. He's boring as a champion. And Drew calling out Cody about his orange suit on SmackDown was funny. It's true. Once again, no lies detected with Drew McIntyre. Every time he speaks, it's just true. And I think if they're going to anoint Drew, Survivor Series is a great place to do it. A great place to do it. And if you heard my show earlier in the week, I was talking about how if you're a wrestling promoter, a booker, an agent, whatever they want to label you as today, you usually want a good amount of heel champions going into WrestleMania because it allows something for the baby faces to chase. Instead of just, they're already at the mountaintop, they just have to defend it. Not as fun of a story. It's not as traditional as having the babyface, get to the top of the mountain at the end of the day, which is WrestleMania, and overcome the evil, dastardly heel that's got that championship. Not that every story needs to end that way at WrestleMania, but more often than not, it's a good rule of thumb that has worked for 41, going on 42 years now. So expect to see more heel champions continue to retain or regain championships as we get closer to WrestleMania. Doesn't mean every single championship is going to be held by a heel. You'll have babyfaces that hold championships. You still got the women's tag titles held by babyfaces. So, there is that, of course, the Universal Championship held by a babyface. We now have a babyface world champion. But as a general rule, that's kind of how it goes. Now, as I said, breaking down the match a little more, the Claymore kick that he went for that Cody avoided into the announce table was a good spot here. And then Cody running up to the corner, and Cody attempted to go to the middle rope, but he just clutched his left knee. He hit a Cody cutter and then went back to clutching his knee, which of course is ridiculous. Because if you have some kind of knee injury that you are, if you're grabbing your knee, you aren't going to be able to perform a Cody cutter that really requires you to have nearly full strength in your knee. But moving on. McIntyre then stopped the crossroads, and we had a ref bump. Yes, we did. mandated by law, of course, in all 50 states, is a ref bump and a Cody title defense. So we got it, and we got the victory. Now, as I said, a little bit of a heel way to win a match. I know a lot of people are looking at that, but McIntyre eventually needs to freaking win a championship. How many times it feels like Cody, Drew is on this hamster wheel of defeat. He can't, much like LA Knight, can't seem to capture the big one. You know that when he's in it, you're like, well, it doesn't get you excited because you don't have any faith that anything's going to happen. How many championship matches has Drew lost in the last year and a half? A lot. Okay. Let's continue. We then have footage of R-Truth and Montez Ford helping out at a Utah food bank. And Cole said it's a tough time for a lot of people in the country right now. I want to speak on that, but I can't because this is a wrestling-focused show. If you want to hear my thoughts on this particular topic, I'm going to be doing a full show on that, not here, on a different podcast called The War on Truth. Search for it. Subscribe if you care about such things. If you don't, then, of course, skip it and stay right here for all wrestling. Okay, so then we got Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill for the Women's Championship. And Stratton had her left knee wrapped to sell Jade's attack, and Jade was pretty dominant to start. And Stratton ends up rallying quickly after a attempted pump handle slam, although she did hit it and got a 2 count. Jade regrouped, went back to the knee, and Jade put the champion down with 3 fall-away slams, covered her for a near fall, and then Jade followed up with a sit-down powerbomb for another 2 count. Hit 2 powerbombs on Stratton, and then hit Jaded and got the 3 count. So 5 minutes and 30 seconds, she destroys Tiffany Stratton. And I'll say there wasn't a ton of reaction for Jade here. I know that some people aren't happy with the outcome of this. The fan reaction still has not caught up to her turn yet. There's still some work to do, I think, here on the back end of her turn, meaning get on the mic more, continue to do that. Just let it go. If you suck, who cares? They'll boo you. Who cares? The shackles are off, which I've said this for weeks, is a good thing for Jade. And I know that this is a dominant win, but in 5 minutes and 30 seconds, which is kind of crazy, I feel like this is actually a better thing for Jade than if they went 12 or 13 or 14 or 15 minutes. Number one, because she would have been exposed, because that's what happens when Jade performs more than 7-8 minutes in a ring by herself. But also, it does kind of fit her character of just kicking ass, which is what her character should be. I think as a whole, her and many of the women in the company should be less concerned about posting thirst traps on Instagram or X, about breaking the internet. I mean, even Trish Stratus as of late is putting stuff out there because I don't think she's saying to herself, hey, I haven't got much attention lately. Let's change that. And there's a whole nother topic I could go into as well, but I'll pause there. It's, you make so much progress pushing women's wrestling forward. And then all of these back end things happening that, of course, all the fans watching you see. And it, I think, regresses a lot of the progress you're trying to make as a wrestling entity. And, well, I'll leave it there. But continuing on, Jade wins. She wins. She wins her first championship here. The women's championship, not the world championship, the WWE women's championship. I think Tiffany was getting a little bit boring as champion. I know that I said that too about Cody, but Cody's been boring as champion since he won in WrestleMania 40. I mean, that's my personal feeling. Tiffany had a lot of organic momentum behind her. Fans got behind her, even when she was actually designed to be a heel. Fans said, nope, we're going to cheer you. They got behind her. Her and Charlotte had some very memorable matches and moments in the ring, as we all know, the Kaiser DMs and the personal shots about her divorces and all that. And, Tiffany, I think as of late has been a little obnoxious herself, though. I don't think fans are on board with Tiffany as much as they used to be. And what did Jade say on SmackDown? She said not Tiffy time. It was like, not Tubby time. What the hell did she say? There was something she said. I go, what did she say? It wasn't Tiffy time. It was something else. Somebody in the email, I'm sure, will correct me and say, oh, it was this. I forget. There was something ridiculous she said. And I'm like, was that on purpose? Or was that her just messing up her words on live television? That probably is the latter. But anyway, this match was, it's hard to say it was a good match. It was a purposeful match. It was a strategically poignant match where Jade was to come in, be brutal, vicious, win. And I had said also in the preview show, it was important for Jade to win or it would undercut her heel turn. And they not only had her win, but they had her win in dominant fashion against Tiffany Stratton, who is no slouch. Tiffany Stratton is quite the athlete herself. She's not a pushover. She's not a 5-foot Alexa Bliss. And no disrespect to Alexa. I'm talking simply about stature, physical appearance, intimidation. She stands up to Jade fairly well, and yet she was dominated. So this is going to be an interesting dynamic with Jade moving forward. Is that going to be her thing? Is her thing going to be she just can't be stopped? She's a buzzsaw. She can't. Look at her. Who's going to stop her? Is that going to be her thing? Is it really that simple? And I'm not being facetious. I'm not downplaying it or saying it's a bad idea. It may not be a bad idea. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overcomplicate anything with Jade's character at this point. We need basics down first before you start trying to layer upon layer of her, of character development and things. We got to get the basics down first. Okay. We then had the third match of the night, match 3 of 4, with Dominic, Penta, and Rusev in a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. The match was kind of disappointingly short, 12 minutes and 30 seconds. Thought it was going to be well over 20 minutes. And I will say the match was good. Was it a show stealer? No. But some of the memorable moments, as you'd imagine, was Dom ringing the bell and Rusev saying, "What the hell?" That was funny. Having Dominic also toss the chair to Rusev and then tell the referee he was trying to hit him. And the referee's like, there's no DQ. There's no rules in the match, right? Dom's like, oh, crap. And then Rusev just hits him. That was funny. The Mexican Destroyer spot with Penta, hitting Dominic with the Mexican Destroyer was pretty impressive. That's always a fun move, but dangerous move. I every time you see a Mexican Destroyer, I get very nervous. I'm like, oh my God, are they moving? Did the X sign go up? What is that? But it's a beautifully done move when it's done safely. So Rusev, again, he applies the accolade, fake ring bell by Dom. And then we had Penta try to hit Dom with the ring bell hammer, but Dom moved and he hit Rusev, and then Dom ran Penta through the ropes, and he hit a frog splash on Rusev and got the 3 count. So fun, nothing insane, but comical moments, stuff that just baby steps forward for Dom, which to me is all about Dom here. This is all about Dom. I'm very confident we will see a potential rematch of sorts with these 3, maybe even on Raw. But the only complaint I have about this is that it was only 12 minutes, which is, again, kind of criminal in a lot of ways. Okay, we got the main event here then coming up with the World Championship on the line, the vacant World Championship on the line, CM Punk and Jey Uso. Before that, we did get a announcement from John Cena himself, about 3 minutes long, regarding his final opponent, who that would be, how it would happen. So we'll talk about that as we kind of did at the open, but I'm going to dive a little more into it. But I want to give a little time for the sponsor of today's episode. So we all know that move WWE made off of cable television onto Netflix for Monday Night Raw and now to ESPN for PLEs, well, you can unlock more content without having to pay for multiple subscriptions. How, you may ask? Well, remember that little piece of advice Stephanie McMahon inadvertently gave to the WWE fans? It's called a VPN. If you're not sure what that is, it's a virtual private network. What will this do for you? Well, it can help you unlock access to the content library of a different region. For example, some United States-based fans use a VPN to access the more comprehensive library that's on the Netflix UK to avoid paying the multiple services, like I said, for Peacock and ESPN. So what service specifically we're talking about here? That's Surfshark, today's sponsor of this episode, Surfshark VPN. So the VPN, the virtual private network, means you can change your virtual location with just a few clicks. It masks your true IP address. It makes you appear that you're anywhere in the world. And for example, you can set it to Canada and boom, you unlock the Canadian Netflix library, which includes all of that awesome WWE programming, commercial free, I might add. And while you're there, you can also check out other shows exclusive to Canadian Netflix. So kind of a win-win. And of course, all of the classic benefits of a VPN that are there at your disposal too, meaning enhanced security while surfing the web, data privacy, fewer pop-ups, and even some of Surfshark's specific services, such as Surfshark Alert and Surfshark Antivirus. Even better, you guys can try Surfshark risk-free thanks to their 30-day money-back guarantee. And here's the best deal. Go to surfshark.com/WWE pod and you'll get 4 months extra when you sign up for a 2-year plan and enter the code WWE pod. Again, that's surfshark.com/WWE pod to get an extra 4 months on a 2-year plan. No need to write it down. My link and code are in the show description. And by using my code, of course, you do help support this podcast. A huge thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring today's episode. So let's talk some John Cena, because he hyped himself up a little bit. And I'll be honest, I am ready for John Cena to retire. Can nobody else do this ever again? I don't want to have a year-long tribute to anyone. I don't care how big of a name they are. I don't care if your name's Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I mean that. I don't care if it's The Rock. I don't care if it was Hulk Hogan. I don't care if you're Sting. I don't give a damn. A year-long goodbye is too long. You overstay your welcome of goodbyes. Kind of a bit of an inverse of purpose, no? Like, you want to leave, but then you're telling people, hey, I'll be around for a year, telling you I'm going to leave. It's like, so, and I'm thinking at this point, just get the hell out. and again, I know that in a month or 2 months or a year, 2 years, I'm going to be like, oh man, I wish I wasn't so anxious to get him out of here. And that's human nature. But in the moment, I don't care. I'm tired of hearing and seeing and hearing John Cena say thank you and blah. Because also we're going to have a lot of time to review his career, the documentaries, the specials on ESPN, the moments, the commentary. He probably will do some pre-shows at the desk with Big E or something like that. He'll absolutely, without any question, be in the Hall of Fame. He'll probably show up on a big time PLE, not to wrestle, but to maybe welcome people to the show or briefly hit an AA on somebody in a nostalgic fun moment and leave. I believe him. He won't wrestle again, but there's a lot more John Cena to go. Guys, I know people are treating this like he's going to die. He's not going to die. His in-ring competition is figuratively dying, but him as a person, his body, his spirit, his voice isn't going anywhere. He's going to be around, God willing, another 30, 40 years. And we have a long time to go of John Cena interviews and, as I said, documentaries and commentary to go. And yes, despite what he may say, WWE live television appearances, albeit rare, will happen. Not for matches, but as I said, for moments. So, but at this point, I will say, after watching John Cena since day one, and I was there, I remember his debut in 2002. I was a junior in high school. Do the math. I'm ready to just, John, okay, got it, get out. It sounds horrible, but I'm sure some of you may kind of also echo that sentiment. Now, that being said, I certainly recognize everything. He is one of the greatest of all time. It's just a matter of, I don't care who you are, you've overstayed your welcome. In terms of just like the same formula over and over. Okay, we get it. Thank you, Cena, blah, blah, like, got it. Okay, can we move on? But this 16-man tournament that's going to start, the most interesting part of it that came out of that by far and away was, of course, his mention that the Raw stars are going to be involved, the SmackDown stars are going to be involved, the NXT stars are going to be involved, and the money line, that people that don't even work here are going to be in this tournament. Now, what does that mean? That's the fun part. That's the part that you've never heard before, ever. Now, could that be somebody from AEW currently under contract? Maybe. I know that we're all hoping that it's Adam Copeland, Edge. I've been advocating that for a year since John Cena announced his retirement. And I think it's the perfect opponent. Now, that would mean that he'd have to wrestle 4 times to get to the finals to face John Cena. I understand that because he has to be a part of it to go through the brackets to win. I get that. I mean, you could also have Edge be a replacement for somebody who wins. Like, Edge is not here's what I would do. And I don't care if this sounds cheap or it sounds like you're cheating the fans. I don't care. This is how I would do it. If you want Edge to truly be his final opponent, and it sounds like he probably will be based on John's comments, here's what you do. You have Edge not be a part of the tournament at all. Okay? You have the finals. You get to that, and you have a babyface get to the finals and win. And you're thinking, okay, cool. It's so-and-so. It's some kind of upstart from NXT. And then that person gets injured, quote unquote. And there has to be a replacement. And Adam Pearce comes out and says, as it so happens, I have found a replacement. Lo and behold, you think you know me. That is how I would do it. So Edge doesn't have to wrestle 4 times and kind of take the steam away of him being a part of wrestling 4 times. I think it'd be more exciting if he didn't show up at all until he has to be the replacement. Now, yes, it would kind of cheapen the tournament, but again, what the hell's on the line anyway? No championships on the line. It's an exhibition match. No one really cares if John wins or loses. It's about a moment of saying goodbye to Cena for however long the match is, 20 minutes or whatever. That's all it is. So you're not really devaluing anything by doing this to the fans. If you swap out at the last second, you do a bait and switch for who actually wins because Edge is your guy, but he's not in the tournament. I get it. But in this case, I think you should allow it and let it slide. You're not going to undermine the goodwill of fans here because everybody wants Edge. Everyone, I would say, and almost wants Edge. There's no one else that makes more logical sense than Edge. Other than Kurt Angle, but that's impossible. Kurt is not wrestling. I'm not proposing that. So, you think you know me? We'll see. Alrighty. So that's how I would I'd book some things. Now, let's get to that final match here, because this is interesting. Jey Uso, CM Punk for the vacant World Championship. This match went 21 minutes. Just about what most of us figured it would go I thought it was a good match. I mean, I will say this, and I tweeted this out. Follow me on X at wrestling_audio, or just search the WWE podcast. The pacing of the match at the beginning was painful. And I'm a big proponent of slowing down matches. Everything doesn't need to be 60, 70, 80, 90 miles an hour. Letting fans understand what's going on. Don't read the chapters so quickly. Just take your time. But this was going half speed. It was to start the match was very slow. Now, There was that spot, as we all saw, the swinging neck breaker that I think Jay thought was going to turn into some kind of Crossroads or Sister Abigail because he over rotated on the neck breaker, and then CM Punk got pissed at seemingly and tapped him in the head with his foot. I did see that. Okay, it happens. It happens. I'm not gonna get on Jay about it. It looked weird. He screwed up. Yes, he did, but I'm not gonna hammer him on it. And, Jay did his thing. And this match with no interference, no screwy finish, ended with CM Punk winning after, 7 GTSs, which, again, is also probably the only critique I have about this match outside of the slow start was the number of GTSs in this match was stupid. And I think now, can we finally say the Jay Uso experiment has expired? Can we move Jay back to kind of where he feels like he should be? And I know that a lot of people are, so what do you mean how he feels? I'm sorry. I'm not even sorry. Jay Uso feels like an Intercontinental Champion. You can't tell me he doesn't feel and look better with that championship around his shoulder than he does the World Championship, or God forbid, the Undisputed Championship. Jay figuratively, the championship is too heavy for him. He can't seem to carry it. At least carry it in a convincing way that makes him feel like a legitimate champion. Not to say he doesn't seem like a actually legitimately nice guy. Not to say he doesn't have a great connection with the fans, that he moves merch, and he's got a hell of the word yeet and all that. But I think the Jay Uso experiment has concluded. So hopefully it has. There could be other plans. I would move on. Because now, with so many potential returns, we have a massive PLE next on the horizon in Survivor Series, one of the big four. We have War Games on the horizon. You have a potential of Gunther and Brock Lesnar coming back, which are fairly likely. You've got some big names on the way. John Cena will not seemingly be a part of Survivor Series, but we'll see. Although I have to look. I would think John Cena's Survivor Series, he's going to be there, right? Maybe he'll be there in some kind of non-wrestling capacity, because his final match is, of course, Saturday Night Main Event on December 13th. So anyway, Survivor Series feels like a bigger moment for the World Championship, with CM Punk maybe defending in a triple threat with Jay and say Gunther, but CM Punk is going to have a hell of an opponent, and I think Gunther is the perfect opponent for CM Punk right now. Because if you remember, CM Punk also was the guy that confronted Gunther before he was interrupted by Drew McIntyre several months ago, last year. So, good stuff. Fun moment for Punk. All right, it was a fun moment for Punk. It was a 2-hour show, which was, crazy quick. But I'm happy for CM Punk. It's been a long time coming. It took him 2 years since he returned to WWE to win that championship. So they didn't give it to him right away. They made him work for it again. I have no objections to that. So that was a fun match. Right call. Because if they had gone with Jey Uso winning the belt and him not turning heel, the fans would have done it for them. You heard the boos for Jay. They were somewhat audible. But also, you have to remember, too, he's going against one of the most popular guys in the company in CM Punk. So I don't know if I would really take that as a referendum on the fans are going to turn him, because he's going against one of the most popular babyfaces of all time. So it's not surprising he's going to get some boos. But if Jay lays off the World Championship, just goes about his business, tries to maybe diversify beyond Yeet, that'd be a nice thing. I think he'll be just fine as a babyface still, if he moves out of the world title picture and makes some tweaks. So overall, it was a good wrestling show. I'd give it a C+. I shouldn't say good. It was an above average wrestling show. So C+ is just above average. It was okay. Again, some botches, some kind of like ho hum moments. Obviously, had 2 big title changes. I would like to know, though, if you attended Saturday night's main event, how much did you pay for 4 matches? Seriously. I'm genuinely curious. Okay, let's get to, very quickly here, some emails. And we have 2. So we'll start with DJ, because DJ, patron of the show, another benefit of going to Patreon, is back here, and longtime listener. He has his predictions for Saturday Night Main Event. Now, I know obviously we're looking back retro, so we're just gonna see how right you were. And he says, I want to say, finally, hallelujah, Jade Cargill is heel. This was a much needed turn of events for her, like the possibilities of her winning the title from Tiffany this Saturday. I'm happy. Finally, Jade's a heel. Yeah, me too. Now, again, as I said, there's some work to do on the back end. It just doesn't flip the crowd to go, oh my God, we're going to react very loud to her. She needs to stoke the flames with the crowd. She needs to learn how to be a heel. And I think that it's still the right call, but she still has learning to do. Okay. So your predictions. Let's see how right you were, DJ. Jade beats Tiffany for the women's title. Ding, ding, ding. Cody Rhodes beats Drew to retain. There you go. You're 2 for 2. Dom defeats Penta and Rusev to retain. You're 3 for 3. Here we go. And the result that would probably make me sick to my stomach is main event Jey Uso defeating CM Punk for the world title. But will there be any post-match shenanigans from the Vision, Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, or maybe even a new Vision member? Well, so you did predict Jey Uso beating Punk. Okay, so you went. That was a tough one, and I had said that's a tough one to predict because of so many potential turns and returns and all the rest that you laid out with the Vision and Roman and Jimmy or a new member. But none of those happened. So you went 75%. You passed the test. And DJ Kuzma signing off. Have a great weekend, and another semi-PLE weekend of this daylight savings. Yes, it is daylight savings, everybody. It is. So we'll get to that Joe Hendry report momentarily. Let's first check in with Shane. Final email here. Shane says, "Good day, Matt. Big fan of the show. I find your sarcastic comments really entertaining." Well, I'm glad. I don't have a subscription and don't really want ongoing fees. However, I'd be in trouble with the misses if I did. But if there's a tip option, I'd throw you a few bucks for doing a good job, as I'm a big supporter and believe you got a good thing going. Well, I appreciate that. I mean, if anybody just, you can get yourself in trouble, even if it's just a few bucks a month. I mean, I don't want anybody doing that. Yeah. Like, certainly it's not something that I want people to risk. I want, fights with your spouse about money or no. Even if it is a couple bucks a month, it still is the fact that if you have finances and you're budgeting and you have certain expenses that you do and do not pay for, and I get it. Yeah, I don't want you. If this show is a cause for anyone's divorce, I don't pay lawyer fees. Okay, I don't have anyone on retainer, although I probably should for the things I say. I don't, but I appreciate that, Shane. I appreciate the comments. All right, to be honest, what's the hype for Jey Uso? It was a joke that Jey won the Rumble and that he dethroned Gunther. Jey looks like he pushes trolleys at a Kmart. Now they're pushing him again. I don't like the many of the newer guys, but the one who does catch my eye is LA Knight. I like to be entertained, and I find him really entertaining. He seems like he's got the crowd in the palm of his hand. Why the hell has he not been world champion? He's actually one of the few guys who has a bit of a personality. He's older. Yeah, but age only really matters if it affects their performances, and wrestlers can go well into their 50s these days if they keep themselves in good shape. So I don't see how LA Knight can't have a good run. Well, I was just trying to come up, and I have said that part of the reason he hasn't been champion is I think because of his age and how WWE likes to view their next crop of talent, their next generation of talent. And LA Knight, I don't think, is in that loop because of his age. Partly, anyway. But you're right. I mean, wrestlers do go into their 50s. However, despite the fact that they have a reduced schedule overall, which I think is a good thing, I'm sure the talent would also agree with that. Fewer live events, fewer non-televised. I don't even know if they do non-televised events in the United States anymore. And certainly wrestler can go in their 50s because of the reduced schedule, but it still is a risk of you being injured because you're just older. That's biology. Science will always win. So there is that risk of certainly, being injured more often, even if you're wrestling less. And I think that having LA Knight over that 40 mark doesn't help his case. Now, to your point, he should have a good run. The fans have stuck with him. It's not like Fandango, if that makes any sense to you, back in the day. He had a quick little flash in the pan moment at WrestleMania where people are dancing to his song. The next night on Raw, no one did it. It was embarrassing. And my point being that if you have sustained fan support over a long period of time, that should speak volumes to the company. And they have responded in kind by making him a United States champion for a while. He had a hell of a couple of matches with Logan Paul. He's had some really good promos, and he's very good in the ring. He's got it all. But he can't seem to be timed up correctly with WWE wanting to dethrone one of their top champions, meaning the world title or the undisputed title. They haven't been able to line it up because they have these plans in motion for, say, CM Punk to win it. Now he's won it, or Gunther to regain it, and he did after Jay lost it, and he should have, which is, of course, is a A+ in my book. Or Cody on his millionth story of overcoming the odds and beating Roman, and he finally did. That blocks a lot of these other guys, like an LA Knight, who has a hell of a case to capture the belt, blocks those guys from winning the belts because they have other priorities. And until that changes and they have an opening, I don't see him winning. Now, anything can change at any moment. This is a pre-produced, manufactured program in terms of who's going to win, be champion, all that. But the way that they've traditionally lined things up, it doesn't encourage me right now, especially with the world title, because you have LA Knight and CM Punk, both top guys, both top baby faces on the Raw side. The only way that you could go from babyface to babyface is to have you could have a match between the two, but you have the heel, maybe in a triple threat, take the fall. And then the babyface who is champion can claim he wasn't pinned or, didn't lose. And then you could, it saves face for everybody. I mean, I could go on a deep dive here in a rabbit hole, but I'm with you. Now, last thing on Jay, I still don't know why. I remember having him win the Rumble, and I'm like, what are they doing? And even more egregious, one of the worst things outside of the horrible main event that we all, of course, saw at WrestleMania 41 with John Cena and Cody Rhodes and The Rock not showing up, which still I haven't changed my feelings since April. I mean, it's been 7 months and I still feel the same way I did the night after it happened. So that hasn't faded. But the second worst thing for me was the fact that Jey Uso beat Gunther the way he did. It was embarrassing and frustrating because I never felt that Jey really was convincing enough to me to believe that he could beat Gunther. But okay, let's continue. A couple more things here in your email and we'll wrap it up here. All right. I'm not into the product as I once was. Still keep up to date, but I find myself fast forwarding through matches. The Viking Raiders, like, come on. If I'm watching TV and the Viking Raiders are on and my wife walks downstairs, I'll skip it because it's embarrassing. No wonder people are closet wrestling fans. What happened to these guys looking like real men who looked larger than life? I know there are gimmicks, but come on. Well, then, yeah, certainly, Shane. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I also, while I'm a wrestling fan, if I'm with somebody that I know is not a wrestling fan and I will feel embarrassed by the content I'm watching, I totally understand your urge to change the channel, at least for that particular part. Because wrestling is a show, as Vince once famously said, and I mean, he said it more than once, but wrestling is a show for everybody, right? They have something for everybody, or at least they try to. Something for the younger audience, something for the teenagers and the adults and the hardcore fans that are millennials now that watched during the Attitude Era. I don't prescribe to that particular belief myself. I think that a company should be focused on a particular market, because if you're not, then when you try to serve many masters, you serve none, because your allegiance is in too many places for you to be focused on one to do it well, if that makes sense. In order to really serve someone, you have to be focused on just them. If you are serving multiple people, your attention and your efforts are diverted, which means you can't perform at a high level, because you're stretched too thin. So my point about all that is, I agree. Yeah, the Viking Raiders, to me, while they have, I think gotten a little bit better, they still agree that they are it's like a Chat GPT AI generation of a wrestling gimmick. While WWE is using Chat GPT to create their storylines, and boy, wouldn't you love to see their Chat GPT search history as a company? I'd love to. It felt very much like, hey, Chat GPT, create a wrestling gimmick for a tag team, and boop 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 boop, they pop up. I agree. When wrestling is embarrassing, I hate watching with other people, because then that's a reflection of what I watch. I get it. It's secondhand embarrassment. There's been times where I'm just like, oh my God, I turn red. I'm like, this is just horrible. So that's why most of the time I'm watching alone. All right. I'm a huge Randy Orton fan, as he's a throwback to the stars actually looking like stars and carries himself like a star. He looks like one. He's not embarrassed to watch like Jey Uso or the Viking Raiders. They've been making Orton lose, and my only reasoning is that a heel turn is in the works. He's got to turn heel and go on a proper run. Do you reckon this is where it's heading? Or is he just enhancement talent at this point for their star power? He deserves more, but he seems like the kind of guy who's giving back, which is cool to see. I guess he can take losses, instantly turn heel, and it does nothing to hurt him, but they need to give him some wins if that's not the plan. Well, I don't think Randy Orton can be hurt no matter what they do with him. I'm not worried about hurting Orton's legacy at all. He is so Teflon and so already in the Hall of Fame. There's nothing they could do to Orton to hurt him. Almost nothing. Because he's Randy F. freaking Orton. He's the legend killer. He's had some insane moments. He's had his struggles, as we all know. He's had his demons. He's had his tempers. He's had his alcohol problems. He's had his women problems. We all know. Well documented. But he's a dude that looks the part. I get what you mean. He's a guy that you can admire. Here's the test. Here's the litmus test to if you're going to be embarrassed by somebody you watch. If you look at that person and you admire them, if you want to try to be like them, if you could be like them in real life, at least the way they look and carry themselves, maybe not anything else, maybe not in their personal life or anything else, but if you just generally get that feeling of like, man, that'd be cool as hell to be that person just for a little bit. That's how you know you're not embarrassed and it feels legit. That's how you know you've got a real connection to that particular individual on television. Not that we should idolize ourselves for people on television or against or towards people on television, but I think you get my drift. So, yeah. I feel your pain. I'm surprised you're still watching because there's not a lot of those guys left. You get a lot of gimmicky stuff. So Shane, I understand. But as far as him turning heel, it seems like that's where they're going. I could absolutely see Cody turning on Randy. How about Cody turning on Randy? I know we're all waiting for the millionth Randy Orton heel turn because he's done that so many times in the past. But what about Cody turning on Randy and Cody and Randy headline, I don't know, Royal Rumble or WrestleMania? It's very possible. And you know what also sucks? I haven't mentioned his name in a while. Kevin Owens not being a part of this, and he's nowhere near ready. I'm not saying he's not going to be back in time for WrestleMania. He might not be back in time for SummerSlam. I would say in about a year from now is when, based on what I've heard, is about when we can start to look towards a possible Kevin Owens return if all goes well and, God willing, there's no setbacks. You know, his neck, obviously, it doesn't get more serious than your neck and all the rest of, anytime it has to do with your spine and neck, I mean, it's as serious as it gets. So, yeah, hopefully in about a year's time, next year's Survivor Series, Rumble, next year's WrestleMania 43 build, we can start to look towards a potential Kevin Owens return, hopefully. But I miss the guy. All right, last note, Dom is low-key becoming the face of the WWE. Who would have thought? But I really see him actually surpassing his dad, which I never thought I'd say. He really has that authentic connection with the crowd. In my opinion, Dom versus Braun Breaker is a future WrestleMania main event. Doesn't hurt anyone. They're both legacy stars too. Yeah, exactly. Dom has something special going on right now. Yes, he's channeling the spirit of Eddie Guerrero. We know that. He does it in a way that is more authentic than anyone has since Eddie's passing. The stupid shimmies that Rey Mysterio does, or how many times we have to hear that Zelina Vega was inspired by Eddie Guerrero, or again, all of that's fine, but no one seems to do it as authentically and more impactfully than Dominic Mysterio. Dom is on a run right now. Dom is on something special. People are done booing him. He's charming. You want to see what he's going to be able to do to sneak out of it this time. That's how you know you've got something good. When you're doing bad stuff and still getting cheered. He's got something great right now, and I hope it's not short-lived. I hope this is truly something long-term for Dom. Absolutely. And Braun Breaker, I mean, what more can you say? We've already been told, we've been assured that he's a multi-time WrestleMania main eventer. A goal that I would not publicly state for anyone unless you want to risk the potential humiliation that comes with it. There's a lot of risk saying that. A lot of risk saying that against a guy or upon a guy that is new to the casual viewer. Yes, they could be a absolutely WrestleMania main eventer in just a few years. Certainly. Both are capable. Both are young. Both have, as you said, legacy in their bones. They've got momentum, particularly Dom. So we'll see. But thank you. Thank you. All right, let's get to the voicemail by DJ and wrap this thing up.
This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag Show. Record to you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name, as I take it to my 16th episode of the Joe Hendry Report. And like always, coming to you live from an undisclosed location. Now let me take it to a TV taping of TNA Pro Wrestling from last week. But yet again, we did not get an appearance of Joe Hendry, as yet he is still taking some time off. We did get a special behind-the-scenes TNA documentary called TNA Bound for Glory, Fade to Black, as this covered the things that took place during the course of TNA's Bound for Glory that we did not see on the pay-per-view. Now let's take you to what took place this past Saturday at Halloween Havoc. That's right, NXT's Halloween Havoc, as we were still continuing the collaboration of NXT and TNA. And this took place live from Prescott Valley, Arizona. On this PLE event, we did not get an appearance of Joe Hendry, but we did get a couple of NXT and TNA collaborations in a series of matches, and we had a brief backstage segment. The first NXT and TNA collaboration on this PLE event was NXT's Javon Evans, as he was tag teaming with TNA's X Division champion, Mr. Leon Slater, as they took on Mr. Iguana and his trusted sidekick Lyeska alongside La Parka from Lucha Libre AAA. Javon Evans and Leon Slater won this tag team match to open up the show in 17 minutes and 56 seconds. We also had another tag team match, this time of NXT versus TNA. Coming into this match, the Hardy Boys had 3 tag team championships. The House of Glory Tag Team Championships, the NXT Tag Team Championships, and of course the TNA World Tag Team Championships. They were defending the NXT Tag Team Championships in a broken rules match against Dion Lennox and Osiris Griffin of Dark State. This match lasted 19 minutes and 8 seconds, and by the way, this was the debut of the Broken Hardys in NXT, of Brother Nero, aka Jeff Hardy, and of course, Broken Matt Hardy, aka Matt Hardy. And we have new NXT Tag Team Champions in Dark State, as Dion Lennox and Osiris Griffin got the victory to bring back the NXT Tag Team Championships back to NXT. And speaking of Dark State, it seems like Javon Evans and Leon Slater still have some unfinished business with Dark State because of what took place from TNA's Bound for Glory when Dark State interfered in their X Division Championship match. Could there be a possibility that we see that Javon Evans and Leon Slater, even though they're on 2 different shows, can they be tag teaming to go up against Dark State for the NXT Tag Team Championships sooner rather than later? Let's see what happens as that feud continues between these 2 tag teams. And then we had the backstage segment of NXT's Jordynne Grace, and I guess you could say NXT's Kalani Jordan, who currently has the TNA Knockouts Championship. Now let's get to this brief backstage segment of Jordynne Grace and Kalani Jordan. Currently right now, Kalani Jordan, even though she's an NXT star, she still holds the TNA Knockouts Championship. And she having this back and forth issue with Jordynne Grace. And in this backstage segment, we see Jordynne Grace tell none other than Kalani Jordan that she is going to talk to the Director of Authority, Mr. Santino Marella, to request to be the next challenger for Kalani's TNA Knockouts title. Kalani Jordan mocks Jordynne Grace by saying that Grace is going back to her comfort zone, and also she says that the title only means something now because Kalani is holding it. Well, it seems like that must have infuriated Jordynne Grace as she slaps Kalani Jordan across the face. Could there be a possibility that we finally get the matchup of Jordynne Grace versus Kalani Jordan for the TNA Knockouts Championship? And by the way, let's not forget about Indy Hartwell, the indie darling of professional wrestling. Will she also be included in this match to be a triple threat of Indy Hartwell, Jordynne Grace, and Kalani Jordan for the TNA Knockouts Championship? There's a slight possibility that this will happen as we get closer to that big moment. But most importantly, if you always remember this, folks, if you continue to say his name, he might just randomly appear. And he appeared last night on NXT. We did get a random appearance of Joe Hendry, but prior to the episode of NXT, Joe Hendry puts out a post on his social saying, "It's been a while since someone said my name." And then we get to the backstage segment where we got to see for the first time in a while Joe Hendry making a random appearance. And in this backstage segment, we had Ethan Page, the NXT North American champion. We had Chelsea Green, and we had one half of her secret Herverse, Mrs. Alba Fire. Ethan mentions that he and Chelsea will have a big tag team match this Sunday at Lucha Libre's AAA Dia de Muertos. I know it's another PLE that I can't keep up on. Anyway, this is going to be a big tag team match because it is for the AAA World Mixed Tag Team titles, as both Chelsea Green and Ethan Page will be going up against Mr. Iguana and Laedra. Ethan and Chelsea fantasize and imagine the possibilities of winning those tag titles this Sunday and having all the gold for Canada since both of them are Canadians. However, Ethan worries about the security situation for this Sunday in Mexico, but Chelsea affirms Ethan that there's nothing to worry about. Alba Fire says that she will handle the situation by saying, "You won't see them, but they'll see you." Ethan goes on to say that he likes this dynamic of Chelsea Green and Alba Fire. However, Ethan Page points out a random job opening flyer that Chelsea Green is looking for another member of her secret Herverse team, since Piper Niven is not available due to injury. Most specifically, this security job role is called the Secret Slagent. Chelsea says that she's been trying to find this one specific person, the right person for this position, and she's not looking for any average Joe. Hint, hint. We'll get to that. She said she's been looking for the right person to fill that role in London and Paris and Tokyo. And then all of a sudden, we randomly see NXT's Taya Hale as she walks by and says, "I believe in Joe Hendry." And then Joe Hendry randomly appeared from a garbage can. That's right, folks. Joe Hendry randomly appeared from a garbage can. I guess you could say he's like the Oscar the Grouch from Sesame Street. Joe gives a word of advice to both Chelsea Green and Ethan Page by saying, "You two need to worry about beating Mr. Iguana and La Hedra this Sunday before crowning yourselves as champions." Ethan Page says to Joe that he's not in the business of taking advice from people that jump out of garbage cans. Chelsea tells Joe the next time that you will see her and Ethan will be as mixed tag team champions. They leave, Taya Hale comes back and wheels Joe Hendry off in his trash can. Just two things from this brief segment. Here are the two things. The first thing is that we're gonna get a possible tease from this segment that Ethan Page and Chelsea Green will most likely be the new AAA mixed tag team champions. The second takeaway from this brief segment is that there's a possibility that Joe Hendry and Taya Hale will be competing against Chelsea Green and Ethan Page once Chelsea Green and Ethan become the AAA mixed tag team champions. I like this dynamic of seeing Joe Hendry and Taya Hale, one of the most interesting personalities, especially on NXT, and there's a lot to see as we continue with this story. But then we fast forward to a very interesting main event. This was not just any ordinary main event. This was a main event for the TNA Knockouts title of Jordynne Grace versus Kalani Jordan. And of course, like I mentioned before, Kalani Jordan, an NXT star, she is the current TNA Knockouts champion. This match lasted 12 minutes and 29 seconds. However, we got a couple of brawls with Ricky Saints, who is the NXT champion, as he was fighting Trick Williams at ringside, and then they fought in the ring, causing a bit of distraction and chaos during the course of this TNA Knockouts Championship match. We did see the referee get distracted as usual, but Kalani Jordan uses the TNA Knockouts title to, no pun intended, knock out Jordynne Grace. The referee focuses his attention back in the ring. He sees that Kalani's about to go for the cover, and she does, and 1, 2, 3. And Kalani Jordan is still your TNA Knockouts champion. But what does this mean going forward for Jordynne Grace? Will she get another shot against Kalani Jordan? Or will we see, hopefully, Indy Hartwell resurface back into this program and we get Indy Hartwell versus Kalani Jordan for the next TNA episode, or maybe on an episode of NXT? But back to Joe Hendry. If you always remember this, folks, if you just continue to say his name, he might just randomly appear, especially from a garbage can. Always remember to believe, say his name. Always remember the words that Joe Hendry says anytime, any place, at any show. And most importantly, always remember to do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, "Oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious."
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
Well, there you go, DJ. Thank you for that review. Halloween Havoc and everything else. Thank you so much. I mean, I don't know what more to say. I can't really add or comment on this stuff because I don't watch it, because you do, thank goodness. I mean, I have somebody here to kind of give the review and the match by match breakdown and the Joe Hendry watch and all the rest of it. Thank you so much, DJ. I hope you had a nice Halloween. Speaking of Halloween, I hope it was a nice one for you. Whatever you did, whatever everyone did. I mean, I know I didn't really talk much about Halloween, but thank you, DJ, for your analysis, continued support of the show, and everybody else listening who emailed in and took the time. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who took the time to call in and to write, because, hey, without you guys, this show wouldn't exist. And if you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast, or you can go to the Apple Podcast subscription button and go ad-free there too. Offering free trials if you want to check it out. Good place. No doubt about it. I appreciate everybody. I'll be back on Tuesday with your Raw review. Tomorrow will probably be a throwback show to a previous Raw or Weekend review or Royal Rumble or what have you. So check that out if you're interested, and I appreciate it. I'll be back in just a couple days, guys. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.